Hello guys, welcome back. So in this session we are going to discuss about YAML basics. It is really important to understand the YAML structure because Ansible uses YAML for orchestration. So let's get started. Okay, so first we will discuss about what is YAML, why we are going to use YAML, and the design goal of YAML. Then we will understand that data type representation, how the data is being represented within YAML, different type of data types like a scalar value, multi-value, multi-collection. So such kind of data type, look into that. After that, we can also look the structure within Ansible, how it is being used within Ansible. So what is YAML? YAML stands for yet another markup language earlier, but now it is being called as YAML and another markup language. So basically, YAML is a serialization language that has increased in popularity over the last few years. YAML often used as a format for configuration file, but its object serialization abilities make it viable replacement for language like JSON. In Ansible as well, it is used as a configuration file. So the question here is why we are using it as a configuration file? Because it is easy for human to read, which is why it is good choice for configuration. So let's look an example over here. So the file starts with 3 dashes. These dashes indicates the start of a new YAML document. YAML supports multiple document and complaint parser will recognize each set of dashes as the beginning of a new one. Next we see the construct that makes up most of a typical YAML document key value pair. Here we are seeing product ID and the value is one key value pair. Another key value pair is purchase date and the value of the date. It has another key value pair, buyer and customer 123, which is another value pair. Another important thing you must be seeing over here is that it has some standard structure which is following the indentation and the white spaces. Indentation and white spaces is part of YAML's formatting. You structure a YAML document with indentation. The indentation level can be one or more spaces. But caution over here is that don't use tabs because tools treat them very differently. It is not considered as a space, so it will give you the error. So let's move further and understand that why do we use YAML if XML is there? Why another data serialization in place? So let's understand that. The major problem with XML was which was not readable by humans. So it is very cluttery and because of that very difficult to read sometime. Whereas YAML was created to be human friendly. It will integrate easily with modern programming language. Most of the programming language nowadays being using YAML for data serialization and instruction set for generic tools. In the early days when we were using XML for keeping the config file, log file, so it is very difficult to read those files. So now YAML has simplified those aspects. You can easily read the config file and log files using YAML because YAML structure is pretty much human readable. In short, we can say that we are using YAML because its structure is very simple and it is easy to maintain. To understand more about YAML, why we use YAML, we must have to understand the design goal of YAML. So let's see what are the design goals of YAML. So these are some of the important points which make YAML a strong candidate for any kind of configuration management, object persistency, and all other data serialization activities. So now you understand the design goals of YAML, we can move forward and we will look into what are the data types is being supported and how it is being represented within YAML document. So let's get started. Okay, so first we have to see that what is the structure of those data types. So let's understand that. Here I am using the same example file which I have showed you earlier. If you closely look into this file, then you can find that some of the values is being represented as a scalar value. So these values is being represented as a scalar value. Now how do we represent collections? So here the buyer's example, the representation of the collections, and multi-line is being represented with a pipe and all those details. You can write it over here. How do we represent dictionaries within YAML? Then you can represent like this. It also supports multi-line formatting. So it will start like this. So this entire record is a representation of different data type. You can take it as an example to design your own YAML. One thing you notice over here, the key value is YAML's basic building block. The key is always be a string and the value is a scalar or sometime any data types. YAML recognize numeric type as well. If you see that product ID, it is a numeric type. An integer can be decimal, hexadecimal or octal. If you see here, then you find that total is a decimal value over there, which value is 1400. So these are some of the example where I demonstrated you how this scalar value is represented, collection is being represented, multi-collection, list and dictionaries, multi-line formatting. So let's move forward. We will look into that how this YAML file can be represented within Ansible. Let's move further and look into example of Ansible YAML file. So let's look into YAML in Ansible. Just an example. Don't focus about what is written over here. Just focus about the structure. As we already discussed that this YAML document will start with 3 dashes, and here you see that it starts with 3 dashes. It has key value pair each entry, and it is pretty much simple file. What it is doing, it is just installing Tomcat server, which I will explain you later once we go more detail into the course. YAML has a structure which is starting with 3 dashes. It has key value pair, and these values are scalar values, and below the roles dictionary, the roles key value pair is representing the list value. So that's it guys. These are YAML basic to work with Ansible. So hope I have given pretty much basic understanding about the YAML. This will really help you when you design your own YAML structure. Then these basic tips will help you to design your YAML structure. That's it guys. So see you in the next section. Thank you.